Way to hit it. Way to hit it there.
Looks good.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call this budget meeting to order. And would everyone rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Councilman Slacker, could you lead us in Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Debbie, roll call, please.
Councilman McIntosh. Councilwoman Martin.
Here.
Councilman Slechta.
Here.
Mayor Nelson.
Here.
Councilman Simmons.
Here.
Councilwoman Simons. Councilman Longcart.
Here.
Okay, Carl, presentation of budget changes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to let Lisa do any of the detail here. I just want to reiterate kind of at a high level where we're at with this budget. First off, we're in good shape at this point in time, and I will tell you that has to do with the prudence of the City Council and staff with regards to handling the budget. And I want to take the opportunity once again to thank Lisa Pace and her entire finance department for working so hard once again and creating a great budget that we can all live by. The directors, of course, are to be credited because not only do they put a budget together, but more importantly than that, they live within it each and every year, and we appreciate their efforts as well. A lot has been made over time about whether or not the city is living within its means, and I just want to make it very, very clear that we are living within our means. And what that indicates is that basically whatever revenues we project are going to come into the general fund, that our personal operating and our debt service transfers are less than or equal to that number, so that we come out at zero or we come out in a positive position. When we presented you a budget back in July, that positive number in the general fund, taking into account all those factors, was about $900. The council in between that presentation time in July and the first budget hearing 2 weeks ago had directed an additional $33,500 in addition to the budget. We took those all out of the contingency fund, which at that time was $150,000. We went down to approximately $116,000. So again, living within our means and really not changing the bottom line at all. In addition to that, between July and the last budget meeting, the Finance Department had an opportunity to fine-tune its revenue projections. And so we were looking at a surplus of, instead of about $900, we were looking at a surplus of about $43,000 in the general fund, and a contingency of about $116,000. At the last budget hearing, or the budget public hearing, the council voted to reduce the millage rate by 1 cent. That resulted in a reduction of the projected revenues by about $66,000, and we were able to once again balance that budget by taking the $43,000 in surplus revenues over expenditures, taking that, and the balance of $23,000 against the contingency. So right now, as it stands today, City Council has a balanced budget. We are living within our means, and we have a contingency amount right now of about $93,000. Over and above that, the council has directed that many projects, capital projects, will be handled. We are taking those out of specific funds that have been set aside for those projects, and feel very, very comfortable that we're going to be able to make a significant difference in our community over the next year with the capital projects that have been authorized thus far. This is a public hearing for the budget, and at this point, Lisa, if you have any further thoughts, go right ahead and present them, if you would.
Thank you. I did want to call your attention to page 3 in your budget worksheet. That is a presentation, a detailed presentation, if you will, of all the changes that have been completed subsequent to the July budget workshop that you all had. We have them presented consistent with the format that we provide you all every year. We start with our revenue sections, And we start with our July budget workshop revenue number, and we show you the reductions there and increases. There were some positive things that occurred as we moved along to finalizing our revenues numbers where we are now. And then and Carl, I'm just going to do these very briefly because Carl did touch on this in an overview format. And the next section being our revenue changes. Again, we have presented all the expenditure changes that we've completed subsequent to the July workshop, with the new reduction in the general operating contingency that we utilized to fund the reduction in millage rate that you all approved at our September 10th meeting. So we did just want to ask you if you have any questions about those and present those to you, and we thank you all very much.
Okay. Council, you have any questions for Lisa at this time? Nope. Seeing none. Carl, what else you got for us?
Well, the only other thing I wanted to call your attention to, and I think I did it in the memo of Friday, was that on the next page, page 4, we felt there may have been some confusion that we created at the last budget hearing with regards to what capital projects were going to be done, because we had several of them listed under the change columns, but we didn't have any dollar amounts in there. So what we did was page 4 now presented to you is a list of all the capital improvement projects that are projected to be completed in the coming fiscal year as well as the year after, so that it's very, very clear what the projects are and the amounts attached to those. With that, Mayor, we stand by for any questions.
Okay, Council, when it comes to any of this, do you have any questions before I go to public comment?
Great job.
All right. At this time, we'll go ahead and open public comment. Any members of the public wishing to speak at this time about the budget, please come forward. I thought so. I can tell about these things, even with a crowd like this. I can always tell. Anyway, thank you very much. We'll close public comment, and at this time, it's time to go ahead and Council, what's your pleasure? Do you want to go ahead and go along with the resolution here?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve the first resolution. And Audrey, what you'd be doing is reading the first resolution on setting the ad valorem tax for the.
Yes, sir.
Sure.
I'll start with the title block.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call. We're voting to. Do you want us to vote to set that millage, or do you want us to read the resolution?
Supposed to read it
She has to
first?
read it first.
Read the resolution. Read the resolution.
It's a very archaic process. It is a requirement under state statute. So I apologize. If you wish to do something else while I read it, that's perfectly fine. This is a resolution of the City of Bonita Springs, Lee County, Florida, adopting the final levying of ad valorem taxes for the City of Bonita Springs, Lee County, Florida, for fiscal year 2012-2013, and providing an effective date. Whereas the City of Bonita Springs, Lee County, Florida, on September 24, 2012, adopted fiscal year 2012-2013 final millage rate following a public hearing as required by Florida statutes 200.065, and whereas the City of Bonita Springs, Lee County, Florida, held a public hearing as required by Florida statutes 200.065, and whereas the gross taxable value for operating purposes not exempt from taxation within the City of Bonita Springs, Lee County, Florida, has been certified by the Lee County property appraiser to the City of Bonita Springs as $6,847,493,134. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Bonita Springs, Lee County, Florida, Section 1. The fiscal year 2012-2013 final operating millage rate for tax calendar year 2012 is hereby adopted at .8173 mils. This final operating millage rate is less than the rolled back rate of 0.8542 by 4.32%. Section 2, effective date. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon adoption. I'll let you go forward with the duly adopted.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilman Slakta?
Aye.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Councilman Longcart?
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh?
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Okay. And do you need a motion and a second for the next resolution, or are you just going to read the resolution first, please?
Thank you.
We'll do it right this time. How about that?
A resolution of the City of Bonita Springs, Lee County, Florida, adopting the final budget for fiscal year 2012-2013, providing an effective date. Whereas The City of Bonita Springs, Lee County, Florida, on September 24th, 2012, held a public hearing as required by Florida Statute 200.065, and whereas the City of Bonita Springs, Lee County, Florida, set forth the appropriations and revenue estimate for the budget for fiscal year 2012-2013, including expenditures as follows. General Fund appropriated expenditures, $13,749,390. Appropriated reserves, $7,371,620. Total general fund of $21,121,010. Special revenue funds, gas tax of $2,550. Impact fees of $4,000. And grants of $67,880 for a total special revenue fund of $74,430. So the debt service fund is $2,560,350. Capital project funds of $7,065,000. Total appropriated expenditures and reserves is a total of $820,790. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Bonita Springs, Lee County, Florida, Section 1, the fiscal year 2012-2013 final budget is hereby adopted with an effective date. This resolution shall take effective immediately upon adoption. Proceed.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there a motion?
So move.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mayor Nelson.
Aye.
Councilman Simmons.
Aye.
Councilman Longcor.
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh.
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin.
Aye.
Councilman Slechta.
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you, Council.
and thank you. I want to thank all the staff for all your hard work, and council, well done. Nicely debated, nicely done, and all of our staff.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Comment before we close?
Absolutely.
One of the things I've always said that I appreciate about this council is the fact that we. Thank you. One of the things I've always said about this council I appreciate is that we may have disagreements, but we discuss things fully, make well-reasoned decisions, and I do believe that. So I was disappointed when we were not collaborative and rushed into some changes that I think were one of our most important issues, and that's the millage rate. So I'm asking that in the future, when we have, we'll give each other the courtesy of as much notice as possible to have a clear understanding of what all these things mean, and give the city staff enough time to make sure that they've looked at all the possible impacts.
I think that's good advice for all of us. Okay, very good. Any other comments? Yes.
Yes,
Hello.
I'd like to just piggyback on to what Councilman McIntosh just said, that, you know, it really bothered me that I was not given the time to do my own personal due diligence and to see those numbers in black and white and to get the feedback back from staff as to, well, this might happen in this. And so I, too, would absolutely respect that if something like that were to happen in the future, that we all be included in that thought process so that we do have time to do our own due diligence.
Okay, I think in the next budget cycle, I think that probably next year, what we'll probably end up doing there and is just go ahead and have staff come up with a set of projections for a couple of different scenarios. That way we can all be prepared to think about what the ramifications are. Okay,
Yeah, I'd like to say something.
good, sure, Bill.
I think it's everyone's responsibility on the board to also read all the material that's provided by the staff. The staff gives us so much information. The best example I can give you is we get the impact fee report every month, and here it is through August, and we're $519,700 ahead from our projections from 11-12. Now that you don't know that at the beginning, but near the end of the year you get some idea. You all get this, right?
I'm sure that everyone on this council reads
don't
the
know,
things that
Ben.
they get.
Well, I'm entitled to ask that question.
I didn't hear a question. I think it was pretty much an
I asked if
assertion.
everybody received it. If you don't receive it, then that's
Carry on.
and basically that's what I'm saying. Please read your material.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have any axe to grind here, other than to represent the people who live in Bonita Springs. And because I proposed a penny to reduce expenses, I don't think that's unreasonable in any way, shape, or form.
My
Yeah.
issue wasn't with the penny. My issue was being surprised and not having the time to come back and do our own look at how this works. You know, I'm trying to sit up here and understand where you are, and I respect the fact that you have great financial ability. But I would rather have city staff tell me that they vetted an issue like that rather than take one person's opinion.
Okay. But anyway, we'll try to do better next time around. Okay. All right. And I think that's enough of that. And thank you, everyone.
Public comment?
Public comment. Oh, okay. Would the public like to comment again? Is public comments open? Anyone from the public wish to speak? Come forward, please. No? Okay, public comments closed, and so is this meeting.